The Cunning Hares are my favorite faction, and they're what got me interested in Zenless Zone Zero in the first place. If you clicked on this video, then I'm willing to bet that you're also like me. You're interested in this game's world and characters, and you want to learn more about them. Welcome to my lore talk, and by the end, you'll know more about the Cunning Hares. Hopefully. Nicole is objectively the best character that Hoyoverse has created and will ever create. From a glance, Nicole seems like she'd be a dumb and ditzy character, but she's actually really clever and is a good leader. She's stylish, charismatic, and she's a hustler. Ever since she was a kid, she had a fascination with Denny's. She grew up in an orphanage and her best friend was terminally ill. Her best friend's last wish was to see the sun one last time. So Nicole and the other children got as many Denny's as they could and reflected the sunlight so that their friend could see the sun one last time. Ever since, Nicole believes that Denny's can provide hope, which the Cunning Hares are going to need because a wish and a prayer is all they can afford because they are generationally broke. There's also a rumor that Nicole was adopted by a prominent family, but for some unknown reason, she ended up back on the streets. This is when she created her odd job agency, Gentle House, or as we know it, the Cunning Hares. The Cunning Hares are always in debt, partially because of Nicole's investments, but also because Nicole spends a lot of her money giving back to the orphanage, which we see in one of her trust events. It's one of the reasons why I like Nicole as much as I do. While Nicole does have selfish moments, she genuinely cares about her people. She doesn't hesitate to help Anby during her agent quest, and she values her partnership with the proxies. But even more impressively, she is willing to go toe-to-toe against Section 6 because they threaten to take the proxy. Remember, Section 6 is elite. Miyabi by herself can do this? And this. But Nicole does not care. That is the kind of loyalty that we want. Not only is Nicole loyal, but she's also smart. She puts the cunning in the Cunning Hares, and those smarts are why she has some of the best connections out of anybody in New Eridu. She knows everybody. She knows Rain, who is one of the best hackers in New Eridu, and even has connections with Miyabi. Early in Nicole's career, she was able to scam Miyabi and take her sword, which, to be fair, Miyabi only really has 2 brain cells and they're busy sparring each other. Nicole has to be one of the luckiest people in New Eridu because her team is made up of absolute demons. Simply put, Anby is a beast. Anby is an engineered super soldier that was created by the Defense Force and was known as Soldier Zero. She was the leader of the now defunct Silver Company, which was a group made up of her fellow replicants, who she considered her sisters. This also includes Soldier 11, which is why they look so similar. Unfortunately, you can't clone combat ability and only Anby was considered a success, which means her sisters were seen as failures and were going to be tossed like garbage. Originally, everybody except Anby was sent on a suicide mission, but Soldier 11 got hurt during training, so Anby took her spot. Now, our girl Anby is just too good and she survived, which was a problem because the Defense Force only needed 1 soldier. So Anby was ordered to kill Soldier 11. Anby refuses to obey and she commits Sudoku. The Defense Force dumps her in a hollow where she is left to die. Luckily, Nicole is doing her daily dumpster diving and she finds Anby. Since then, Anby has been living happily with the Cunning Hares, eating burgers and watching movies. She's incredibly loyal to them, especially towards Nicole. If you target Nicole, be ready to fight Anby. While her relationship with Nicole is smooth sailing, her relationship with Soldier 11 is a plane going through turbulence. Anby purposefully avoids Soldier 11 because she believes that Soldier 11 is better off staying angry at Anby. For myself and some others, we see this as Anby having survivor's guilt and regret that she couldn't save Soldier 11. We also learn in her agent quest that a 3rd sister had actually survived. This is Twiggy. Yes, that is her actual name. Don't bully her, she has trauma. She was found in the rubble with her limbs fully corrupted. She was then put on sale in the black market where she was bought by a shady doctor that used her connections to get Twiggy the resources to recreate the cloning technology. Unlike Anby and Soldier 11, Twiggy is a terrible fighter. Twiggy's goal was to make a new silver company with Anby as the leader again. Anby genuinely hated this idea and says this to Twiggy.
I'm sorry, Twiggy. But now I wish you had died back in the hollow.
Twiggy goes insane and uses a serum to turn to an ethereal. Side note, this is not the same serum that Bringer uses. Anby defeats Twiggy and shuts down the cloning technology, or so we think. It's a little ambiguous and we don't really see it, but we assume that Anby went through with it. Anby is a certified badass and we all love her, but she's not the only goofball with a secret power on this team. Billy really is that guy. When the game first came out, myself and many others noticed the boar on Billy's jacket, which led us to speculate that Billy was once part of the Sons of Caledon before he joined the Cunning Hares. Now it's confirmed that was half true. He was part of an Outer Ring gang, but it wasn't the Sons of Caledon. Instead, it was a Caledonian biker gang that was created by Caesar's father and included Big Daddy. Billy is an intelligent construct from the old civilization like Qingyi. He was found in the lost tech ruins by Apan. It's not clear what those ruins are or where they're located, but I do hope that we get a chance to explore them in the future. While in the Outer Ring, he was then sold to the Caledon gang, and bro was a menace in those days. Just his name made people afraid of him. The gang fell apart, but it was succeeded by the Sons of Caledon, with Big Daddy now as the leader. From what we know, Billy served as the champion for the Sons of Caledon. For those who don't know, in the Outer Ring, the champion is a representative that settles disputes with other gangs. After spending some time with the Sons of Caledon, he talks to them and they decide to let him go. Billy got his guns from an unknown friend and he spent some time being a lone wanderer again, eventually ending up in New Eridu and joining the Cunning Hares. Now, there are two big mysteries still surrounding Billy. First, we don't really know what happened to make Billy leave the Outer Ring. We know small hints based on what Lighter has told us, but we know that Billy had gone through his own trauma. We also don't know how strong Billy is at his peak. Lighter is the current champion and he tells us that Billy is holding back his true strength. We know that Billy is stronger than Lighter based on what Lighter says, and we know that Lighter can take on 100 men. Pause. Which means at bare minimum Billy is that strong. But Lighter is only the strongest fighter behind Caesar and it's not clear by how much. We know Caesar's arm is actually one of Billy's spares and it took some time for Caesar to get used to its power. It's not crazy to say that Billy at his peak is stronger than Caesar. A big question is he stronger than Yanagi or even Miyabi? Personally, I have no idea. I would need to see Billy at full strength to make that judgment because we've seen Miyabi and she's a monster. I love Billy and he's a fan favorite, but we have one more character to talk about. Last but not least, we have Nekomata. If you lost your 50-50 to Nekomata, I am so sorry. But her lore is pretty neat. If you paid attention during the main quest, you should know her lore, but it's always good to get a refresher, since it was almost a year ago. Originally, the Red Fang gang was formed to protect their families, but they became corrupt, so Nekomata dipped. That was until she found out that Silver had died, supposedly because of the Cunning Hares. So she infiltrated the Hares with the intent to kill them in the Dead End Hollow. But that changed when she saw how kind the Cunning Hares were. What changed her mind was that she saw how the Hares were so quick to help a kid that was lost in the hollow. On top of that, Nekomata also learned that Silver died by turning into an ethereal and not the Cunning Hares. So Nekomata makes a choice to personally negotiate with Vision Corp. Her negotiations go wrong, but the Cunning Hares save her and they stop Sarah's plans. Nekomata then joins the Cunning Hares. Lore-wise, there isn't much else, but it is interesting to see how Nicole differs from Silver. Both Nicole and Silver were poor and created their own factions as a means of survival, except Nicole created a more positive environment. The Cunning Hares gave Nekomata a community, which was something she lost when the Red Fang gang became more hostile. But what about the agent quest, you might be asking? What about it? Unfortunately, there isn't much new lore about Nekomata in her personal quest. It was about her helping this PubSec officer named Ali. She helps him get more street smart. It's a fun buddy cop story, but there really isn't that much lore. Like I said, the Cunning Hares are my favorite because they have the best combination of being lovable dorks, but also locking the fuck in when it matters most. All of them have completely different backgrounds, but they have one uniting thread, which is family. Nicole had the orphanage, Anby had Silver Company, Billy had the Outer Ring, and Nekomata had the Red Fang gang. But they all managed to find a new home with the Cunning Hares. I joked a bit during Nicole's section, but I genuinely believe that she is one of Hoyo's best characters because of how she embodies the found family trope. The Hares show that it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, or what you've been through, you can still find people that understand and appreciate you. Hopefully you learned something new. Remember to hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time when we talk about our favorite PubSec officers.